What's going on? Good morning. Good morning. Well, I guess over here in Houston, Texas, it is the afternoon, 12 p.m. Central Time. I am here to answer any of your questions. Friends, welcome to Green Card Guys TV. I'm your host, John Ting, helping you solve your immigration problem and maybe even prevent it from happening in the first place. All right, so today's topic is what I mentioned on TikTok the other day. It's a very unfortunate situation. I try to give you a quick backstory and then see if I can gather some support here on this. So anyone that's maybe watching this on a replay later on, I'll be putting a link down below in the description box and maybe as a comment. Hopefully, I can remember. Let me write that down. I'm going to mention it to the marketing team later on. But here's the deal, folks. We just had a client who got visa refused. But let me give you the backstory. Okay, he had been waiting for his H-1B visa. He was already approved for the application through the company. The company is a sponsor. In this situation, it's not a company, it's an employer, of course, but it was a university here in America. So we sued the United States government, specifically the State Department, on this because he was already approved. And all they were waiting for was a visa issuance. So he was approved for the H-1B application last February, so exactly about a year ago. And then he had the interview shortly thereafter in China. So I mentioned China. You already know what's going on, what I'm probably going to talk about, and it's the stinking balloon. All right, y'all got to know that of course we got to take care of our national security, but unfortunately, when there's politics involved and it's immigration, in some scenarios, people will be affected. It's like collateral damage, collateral consequences. All right. So, unfortunately, more people than my client could be affected. And we sued the government way before this whole balloon incident. Of course, U.S. government claims that, of course, they mentioned that there was a couple balloon incidents or something related to it during the Trump administration. And now it happened recently, or so they claim it happened recently, right? We don't really know. The point is, do not give up. Okay, round it, gather your friends, anyone you know, colleagues who are in a similar situation. Okay, because we sued the government about October. About October. Okay, it takes about average 2 months to get some kind of initial negotiation with the U.S. Attorney's Office for the local court where you sued or where we sued. And that happened. There was a conversation. There was a couple conversations with the U.S. attorney. And about maybe a week before or less than that, the U.S. attorney, I can't, of course, share word for word, but he basically alluded to and had us inferred that he also believed that the visa would be issued. He didn't say those exact words, but he said a decision would be made. Just a couple days after that, the balloon incident happened. And then a couple days after that, client got an email saying, with an attachment saying the reason why he was visa refused. So it's a very frustrating thing. That was not expected by anyone, including, I believe, the U.S. attorney. He claims, of course, after the fact that he didn't say that or he didn't mean to say it that way or whatnot, and that's fine. That's understandable. I can't put what it doesn't matter what the U.S. attorney said at the end of the day. Politics got involved. All right. So I'm also sharing this because whether you're red or blue, you're Republican or Democrat, conservative or liberal, you always have to be mindful of your own party. Okay. Especially these days where, you're on social media and, I don't know, Facebook groups and talking. I've toned it down a lot on Facebook. I don't comment there as much on a personal page just because it really goes nowhere. I believe it's really better to find a silver lining. What can we turn into a positive? Okay. And so that's what I'm trying to do on this show for this topic for a couple more minutes is that we have to find a solution. So if this client were to try to keep fighting the case on his own, it'd be very, very difficult to change the decision. My legal team and myself, I hire people that want to fight. Okay, of course, legally speaking, to be an advocate for people in the community. especially for immigration. There's, of course, a lot of other things that we're concerned about like people who've been abused, a bit victim of crimes, human trafficking. But specifically for immigration, this is for people who have been, uh, you know, um, their case have been delayed when the government claims to be the pandemic reason and lack of personnel. This has been an issue even before the pandemic. Of course, pandemic just made it like 100 times worse. That's been very clear in the last couple of years. But in this situation, anyway, back to my Chinese national client, it would be a much stronger case if we're able to certify the federal case as a class action. Okay. So, in case you know anyone who is in a possibly similar situation as my client has been visa refused, yeah, please share our information um, because y'all deserve legal status. Okay. And why it's difficult to fight this on their own. If you remember the history books of the Japanese internment camps, and the Japanese, even of course Japanese Americans, were forced into these camps, and they had no choice. They couldn't fight it, and even though a case went all the way to the Supreme Court, Kawamatsu versus United States, there was just no fighting chance. All the government said that, hey, if the reasoning is because of national security, U.S. government's good to go. You can't fight it, essentially. So yeah, if you love history or you just remember that situation, and yeah, it's just a very painful situation for folks who have suffered. Of course, there's a whole slew of different scenarios, not just for Japanese, but for other ethnicities that we had to fight the U.S. government. It's ridiculous. Um, so I hate to say this, I can understand why um, people at least initially appreciated Donald Trump or President Trump at the time when he was running for office. I'm not trying to say that I'm an advocate for him, but because people in general, or I won't say in general, but there's a good amount of people, right, that just are cognizant that the U.S. government is not always thinking in your best interest. They're thinking, of course, in a quote unquote national interest or lobbyist, corporations, all that. So you just have to be mindful of that. And that's why my client was visa refused. If it had been a week before this freaking balloon incident, most likely he would have been issued the visa. So of course I can't guarantee anything myself. I don't work for the government, but pretty sure he would have been approved or visa issued. So long story short, if your case has been delayed and you're a client of ours from the get-go, from the start, we're going to start contacting you about this. But also, if you are tuned into the show and you file the case yourself or you have a lawyer, don't give yourself a hard time, or don't give your lawyer a hard time either. Not every immigration lawyer is certified in certain district courts, federal courts, and you have to be a lawyer has to be certified in that court to file a lawsuit, or of course get what we call pro hoc vice, to get sponsored in that court. But in general, not everyone knows about this option. There's a last option called mandamus lawsuit for the most part, for most scenarios. So don't give up, okay, folks. Yeah, Champion, that's right. It is messed up. Thanks for tuning in. And Champion, reach out again to us if you have any questions about the next steps. All right, Anu. Good morning, Anu on YouTube. It looks like I see a lot of comments, so I think it looks like, I don't know which like question 1, 2, 3. Let me just pick one to see if I can answer. Okay, looks like you saying that you'll call us when you get the reentry permit that you just applied recently. Okay, that's good. Okay, happy to be here when you're ready. Let's see here. You asked also, can we please find out what works better as a reentry permit on U visa, 192 or 131 for your situation? 192 is, if I can search it here, if I remember correctly, it's the application to request advance permission to enter as a U.S. So that's different than the 131. The 192 is what you should have applied. If I don't know, if I don't remember if you had a lawyer or a nonprofit help you, but in case you had any possible reasons or scenarios of inadmissibility, you would have to file a 192. And I recommend it if you haven't. Even you can include even overstay, for example, if you enter with a visa initially. Right? Yeah, I do see that you filed the I-360. Oh, with your U visa also. So you have two separate different applications. That's good. See which one's faster. You're also mentioning, yeah, so the 192 and the 131 are applications for two totally different reasons. So if you're talking about for traveling AP, then it'd be the 131. Yeah, you have other questions, more like scenarios, like future thinking, but really, I would just say focus on getting your I-360 approved first, and then it'd be better scenario to chat about the scenarios. Yeah, we'll be available when you're ready. Looks like you're talking about my other client. You think the only reason the H-1B gets denied is when they think the project agency might not be able to pay. If it was national security, they can get a police clearance. Yeah, I wish it was that simple. I mean, I appreciate the crowdsourcing of advice here, but yeah, it's the balloon incident. He's from China. He's a national of China, and the good thing is that he has a valid visitor visa. Did I say that right? He has a valid. How many times can you say a word with a V 3 words in a row? He has a valid visitor visa. Okay, so I mean, I really hope this doesn't happen to him. But yeah, if the government was really concerned about our client, this specific client, then you would think the email also saying, "Hey, your visitor visa is revoked." But it's pretty. So I think it's just politics. Now, if he were to come in the U.S. After the fact, maybe like next week, probably I won't recommend that, given the nature of the recent news of the the Spygate balloon. So I'll probably wait. There's no like black and white number how long to wait, but it's still valid. Okay, so yeah, I know. I wish it was as easy as getting another police clearance, but he would have already provided one before. Or if it was really that concerned, they would have asked him for a police clearance. Yeah, the reason typically, yeah, maybe because they find out when they have for H-1B, they go for the visa stamp. And that's really it. The interview is very short. It's not long at all. And they're thinking and saying the visa officer says, yeah, no problem. You're good to go. You would think it's a fast way, like literally at the table, they could just issue the visa. But no, it's not that simple. And even if it were that simple, the government doesn't want to make it simple. All right. But yeah, they claim when there's delays like this, they claim, they had to do like an off-site visit or on-site visit to the job location. But the government's not that efficient. They don't do that for everyone. So just because your case is delayed doesn't mean that your job is being, have a site visit. So, but you still want to advise your employer that it could happen. But yeah, ability to pay is actually more of, you're saying agency, but the ability to pay is more for the green card sponsorship. That's not for the H-1B part. Okay. I know that people are concerned about that. But of course, if you have any questions, please drop in the comments. I'm happy to answer them to my best of ability in the moment. Authentic one on IG. Let's see what you got here. Do I have any advice about the entry waiver for immigrants? You saw a new law coming in for that end of April. It's February now, mid-February now. I'm assuming you're talking about April, like coming up, 2023. Man, I have to stay up to date on this stuff. There's so much stuff. Can you elaborate? what you're talking about, this new waiver. But when I think of waiver, there's two main ones. And it's a 601A and 601 by itself, no letters. The 601A was created by President Obama. I'll save you the history lesson here. Um, but Authentic 135, if you are here, let me know. Are you in the United States right now and overstayed a visa by any chance? What's your situation on that? Um, or did you enter without a visa? I mean, of course, if you're willing to share this, you don't have to, since it's all. Actually, I don't know if Instagram keeps the comments. I think they disappear. Even if I save the video. But yeah, a lot of people need to know about the waiver in general, because some people think like, oh, you got the. Well, I mean, it's a pandemic now, so interviews are delayed anyway. But let's say your I-130 petition was approved. Um, a petition was approved, and then you can apply for the waiver, 601A family unity waiver. Okay, so you're talking about it's anyway. Some people forget or don't even know that they have to apply for a waiver. But Authentic One, you're talking about, okay, you're in the US, but you're trying to get family members here. Okay, so they're outside. So maybe you're talking about humanitarian parole, maybe. Let's see here. Anything new? So I'm a member of a lawyers organization called AILA, American Immigration Lawyers Association. Oh man, it's expensive, but it's very important. It's all expensive because a lot of our money is to help with, I guess you could say, we have our own lobbyist group in DC. It's called AILA, and it's really to help y'all. Okay, because there's some things that these congressional congressmen, congresswomen, politicians, whew, boy, they not all of them know what they're doing. So it's really important to keep them knowledgeable. Okay, share information like I'm doing right now. But yeah, Authentic One, if you have more information to share, so I have an idea, maybe it's a specific country, that news about a specific country you heard about, because that's what the news recently, the past couple months, about humanitarian parole, where they need a supporter. Normally we would call sponsor, but the government's calling a supporter for now. All right, so who's a U.S. citizen or resident, but that doesn't mean you actually have to give any money or show your accounts to that person. But this is your own family, so yeah, I'm interested. If you want to send a DM, one of my team members can reach out to you to see if we can help you. Okay. Okay, back to Facebook. Let's see. All right, so folks, if you're new to our channel, welcome. This is greencardguys.tv. I know you have a lot of different attorneys pages out there that you probably check, and that's all good. But if you appreciate the way we share content, information, and breaking news, please smash the hearts and hit the like button on YouTube. Maybe even save the video and share it with your friends, especially if the topic or information resonates with with you. All right. But we do offer free 15-minute preliminary conversation. It's like it's basically a consultation. But I don't like to, try not to use that word, because people think that some people might think, oh, like, there's an obligation to hire. There's no obligation, but my team does a good job of maybe helping you with information, a free guide, which is on our website, by the way. Some of them, not all free guides are on the website. So you do have to contact us to get one of those for your situation, because you might not need a consultation with an attorney. For example, this has been happening a lot since really 2020, is that a lot of people, let's say that your parent who is a resident, a legal permanent resident, has been outside the US, maybe even before 2020, before the pandemic. And then pandemic hit and they couldn't travel back in. And the reason they were abroad was because they were taking care of their spouse or a family member who was sick and ill. And now that that family member has passed, so my condolences to anyone in this situation, that your parent is ready to come back to America, But the problem is it's going to be difficult. Okay. No one's saying you can't try, but aside from the fact whether that family member's resident card expired or not, um, from time to time, I don't think it's all the time like this. Maybe I'm wrong, but some people, when they go to the get land at the airport, the port of entry in the United States, they go through customs and they get stopped by customs and they ask, "When's the last time you've been in America?" So you can't lie. Of course, our free guy shares examples of what kind of documents you need to bring. Um, I really do think it's worth trying to do that if you have the budget to pay for a flight, because otherwise, whether your resident card expired or not, but you get stopped, or you don't try and you assume, okay, we'll just have to refiling the application for the petition. Number one, it's $535 right now, and it's about most likely going to increase. I think I had a chart. Oh, I did have a chart my team put together. Most fees are increasing by like 120%. It's ridiculous. So the fees are increasing. And anyway, so on this situation, but depending on the family relationship of the sponsor, which most of the time it's the adult child, that would be who's a U.S. citizen, and that would be immediate relative, fortunately. But still, it's at least probably a 2-year wait to refile to be a resident again. And it's completely weird because you would think, well, why didn't you refile to be a resident even though I'm still a resident? So that's why I would still try to enter with your card. Okay. But we have a free guide about that. Okay. So on YouTube and Facebook, you can see here, I'm going to share with y'all how it looks on our website. Go there, greencardguys.com. Our most popular one is about suing for your legal status that you deserve. Okay, don't wait. We've heard a lot of people waiting, and it's just been very unfortunate delay. Some people waiting years, not even just months. All right, AB. All right, AB, you said if my third name was spelled wrong on your birth certificate, like R was used instead of L, what do you do? I mean, a safe thing to say for me is get an amended, basically a changed, modified birth certificate. That's of course legal, and have it certified with a stamp or something or some kind of seal. But of course, I don't know, and I mean, it's not even easy in America to do this, but I imagine it could take more time in your country, just any other country outside America, unfortunately. And of course, I'm sure it costs money to do that. Yeah, fortunately, I haven't had a scenario like that. So, but if you just want to be extra careful, I think I remember that you're still waiting on your petition to be processed. Um, if your third name was spelled wrong, yeah, I don't. And who knows? They might not even catch it. But if they don't catch it the first time, the first step of the petition, who knows? They might catch it later on. Another immigration agency. So yeah, try to see if you can amend or modify your birth certificate, because it'd be really horrible in terms of timing if USCIS agency for the first step says or mails mails your fiance, I think it is, a request for evidence, and you're like, even though it does say it gives you 87 days, but in your country maybe it takes much longer time to get that modified, corrected birth certificate. Okay, so I would try to do that sooner if you're legally able to do that. Of course, if you're not legally not able to do it, then at least you researched it. Okay, I just wouldn't wait on it if you think it's going to be concerned. Yeah, and especially if you already put all your immigration forms and all that with of course, your correct name, then that's not on your birth certificate. I would get that corrected. Okay. All right, folks. Let's see here. Well, what we got going on in immigration is, of course, a lot of things. But if you are an employer, or you know an employer, you know someone works in HR as a recruiter. I see this a lot on LinkedIn lately, that HR and recruiters are posting on LinkedIn a lot more, and also about their tips, really. But I'm mentioning this because if you know someone in that field or that occupation, there's a couple things to know. Number one, with all the fortunate tech layoffs or layoffs in general, the past month or two, people who have H-1B or any other sponsorship, which is most common H-1B, they're stuck in a hard place because you have a grace period of 60 days, basically find your job and get that sponsorship, the new application filed. It's very important. So I know that a lot of corporations, they have a long interview process, which is understandable, but um, again, if you have a friend in HR or they have some kind of control in the interview process, I'm not saying get rid of all like 3 or 5 steps in the interview process, but make it faster. Make it faster for these folks who have current H-1B status, because if they don't, and just trying to get the employer HR to authorize us to move forward with step one, man, that takes like a couple weeks, and it just slows us down. And all we care about is helping y'all get legal status, of course. So we're just trying to get in the role here, and then we get stopped, right? So food for thought, some thoughts to share with people you may know in that kind of occupation. And also, so the second thing, that was the first thing. Second thing is that H-1B, along with that H-1B registration, is coming up in like 2 weeks, folks. So if you are in college and you're about to graduate this May, you can still qualify to be registered. You can't register on your own. You can't self-register. You have to have an employer, okay? You have to have an employer, and it has to be related to your degree. So even if you have a buddy who has a company in America, that by itself is not good enough. You're going to have to, I really recommend you talk to a lawyer. Does not have to be us, but do not wait. The registration is only $10 with the US government, with USCIS. We charge $7.99 as a light plan to get you started with that. And of course, for strategy session. But if you get selected, then by USCIS randomly, of course, then we'll charge you. You have to pick the pro or max plan after that. All right, but only $7.99 for us to help y'all. You just really want to make sure, for the peace of mind, you want to make sure that nothing is messed up. Because I'll tell you what, even if you qualify for the 24-month STEM OPT, or even if you don't have that, maybe only have the 12-month, that's not STEM, then you don't want to lose this chance. Because a lot of people think that because they don't have the degree yet, or you haven't walked across the stage for graduation, that a lot of people think you don't qualify for it. So more often than not, I realize that people that come to us and know about this, that they're just about to graduate in a couple of months, it's because they have a recruiter involved, or the employer is way more involved in it because they know lawyers have advised them in a situation. So of course, there's certain industries that are more on top of it. Like I know dental industry, they're really on top of it in terms of recruiting, because y'all need your teeth cleaned, folks. So they need dentist. Okay. Of course, a lot of other fields too. All right. You're welcome, AB. Happy to help. Which, by the way, folks, if you received any value from us, whether it's been in a consultation before or in a live show, please consider. We greatly appreciate it. Consider writing sharing your feedback on this website called reviewtinglaw.com. I was trying to remember what that was. Let me see if I can write that down. Okay, there we go. Okay, so on YouTube and Facebook, here it is, reviewtinglaw.com. I greatly appreciate it. And also, especially if you talk to one of my CARES team members, they really work hard to not just work hard, but they really pay attention to my training sessions and my legal team's training sessions. And, I don't think I think it's safe to say 99% of other law firms probably don't train their non-legal staff with legal training. And I think that's crucial. It's really to save you time also, especially when you call in for the first time. it would make sense if we understand the terminology that you're talking about, that the case you're going through. And yeah, a lot of law firms use, and I'm not trying to put this in a bad way, but because I've used it in the past and I don't want to do it anymore, is that they use like answering servicing, answering services companies, basically vendors. Um, and those people who answer your phone, they don't know what kind of, if you mention H1B, you mention VAWA, those answering services have no idea what you're talking about. They're just typing it down and sharing it. And this is why law firms are typically slow. They'll get that information, they get busy, they'll do something else. They're like, oh shoot, I need to call that person back. So it's just kind of weird to me. I've spoken with groups of other lawyers on tips about this. I can only share unsolicited advice. If they want to not want me at their group anymore, that's cool too. But I think it's, at the end of the day, it's really to help y'all. And so yeah. Anyways, if you appreciate how our cares team operates and you had a great first impression phone call, please go to reviewteamlaw.com. All right, so I see some more questions on YouTube. Hi, Chiku94. All right. Chiku said, hi, sir. Can attorney file to get, can we file a lawsuit to get an interview sooner? Absolutely. But Chiku, I think you have commented similarly before. It depends on timing with any application. So Chiku, let me know if you're still on live. Let us know how long you've been waiting or when you filed your case and which type of application. That would greatly assist me to share you proper information. Let's see. But yeah, I mean, if you're talking about the 485 application, let's see. Have you contacted our team already? I'll start calling y'all out. If you contact my team, then great. But if you have not, then we gotta talk. Okay, you gotta give us a call, so give you the proper information. You're asking Chico. You commented again. Can you help me with VAWA? You're waiting for interview. If you filed your 485 already, then yes, we can probably file a lawsuit. But again, depends on timing. Now, not to say that, because some applications we look online, if it says 30 plus months, it doesn't actually mean we have to wait 30 plus months and then file a lawsuit. Because I had more experience since before the pandemic, I have an idea, and also speaking with colleagues, how long applications took before the pandemic. So using the freaking excuse that it's the pandemic still, or whether we believe it or not, I think mostly it's the reasoning is lack of personnel. It's just so ridiculous. They sent a memo announcement about a couple months ago, saying do not staple, do not bind, do not basically put like a rubber band around packages when you mail it to them, because that slows them down. They are so slow, they don't want you to do all that, which I can understand. Our team, after we scan everything, we stick it in the envelope, obviously scan it, and it's good to go. They're not going to lose it in that sense. Crossing our fingers. Okay. So yeah, we just try to do everything we can to help make it smooth journey, literally a journey for the mail package to USCIS and for the officer, for the mailroom. Okay, you're talking about consular processing. Okay, so we'll have to check, Chiku. If you haven't contacted us already, please give us a call. Or you're on YouTube, so call in that number right there, and we can check the timing to see if it's appropriate to do that. Okay. All right, let's see. I'm going to go to other comments. Of course, when I try to look y'all up in our system, I realize that your name on YouTube or Facebook or IG is not necessarily your name on our system, of course. All right, so let's see. Hello, Roy. What's going on? Your name looks familiar, so I'm not sure if you have. Welcome back to the channel. You said, please, how long USCIS could give an answer about mandamus. USCIS. So just in general, I guess mostly for you say USCIS. So for the state side in the United States, these kind of cases, let's say like I-130 or 485, waiver application 601. I'm sorry, 601A. After we sue the government, typically on average, not for every single case, okay, I can't promise for you, but on average, it could be at least 2 to 3 months. And this is what it looks like, folks. It's not always the decision. I would say about half the time it's a request for evidence, but it's okay. It's probably, fortunately so far, it's in for anything they asked of my clients, they have the information, or it's just needing updated information. Maybe it's like an updated medical exam results, because depending when you filed it, if you filed it a long time ago, the medical exam back then for that former policy, the exam was valid, the results were valid for 1 year. It only changed about, I believe, a year plus ago, and not so long ago, that the validity time period of the medical exam of the 693 form that you have to provide in a sealed envelope, folks, it's valid for 2 years now. Thank goodness. And you would think 2 years is enough time, but you would think, man, it's kind of strange why they picked 2 years. Well, they picked in 2 years. They chose 2 years because that's how long they think the freaking case will take. That's ridiculous. All right. So speaking about that, so hopefully I answered your question, Roy. You said, okay, yours is for an asylum interview. Yeah, we have a lot of clients who we file a lawsuit for based on asylum interview. And some people might think, well, why would you want to do that? Just hang tight. Well, whatever the reason is that you left your country of nationality, that reason could go away. All right. So, like, for example, Chinese people who fled their country because of the one-child policy, and if they're claiming because of that reason that they're forced to only have one child, that's a no-go. Okay, because they changed the policy, like I think 2015, 2016. But of course, there's many other reasons why people flee China. It's pretty crazy in that sense. Chinese government is crazy, but so is the Russian government. But anyways, okay, Anu, you say, yeah, sue the full-time employer if they terminated without 3 months notice. Okay, well, I think we all need a little more context on that. Okay, Chiku, you said, okay, thanks. Yeah, happy to help. All right, so hopefully that answers your question, Roy and others. All right, now, Amita, sorry, I almost skipped over you. Amita, you say, if you file for asylum after the 1 year period, do you have a chance of winning your case? So we don't practice asylum law anymore, in the sense that we don't accept asylum cases currently. But winning your case is, in that situation, I could answer briefly, is that it would be, yeah, step one is, do you fall under the exception of the 1 year rule? I can't answer that for you right now because it's not a consultation. Plus, we would have more questions, but yeah, we don't even accept asylum cases currently right now. But if you want to speak with an asylum lawyer, or anyone else that's on live that has an asylum case, maybe you don't have a lawyer, or you do have a lawyer and they're not responding to you, especially your interview's coming up soon, you probably need to get a new lawyer if they haven't responded to you. Then you want to check out Brian Manning. If you Google, I think, politicalasylumlawyer.com, or Google or online search Brian Manning asylum lawyer, he can help you out. Or he can at least review your situation for a consultation. But of course, do your own due diligence. I know that people trust me for referrals, but yeah, it's just depends who you're comfortable with. Okay. Just because I recommend someone does not mean that that person is going to win your case. Everyone's case is different. The government officer reviewing the case or interviewing you could be different, or will be different, definitely. All right. So, but Amita, Yeah, determining whether you still qualify for 1 year exception is just the first question, and then of course your claim. All right, so got a couple more questions here on Instagram and YouTube, so I'll try to reach them as much as I can. Excuse me, I'm still trying to get over my cough. Okay, O's new FF. He said, "Hi John, my first time attending one of these live sessions. Welcome to greencardguys.tv. Please subscribe down below and click the bell for all future notifications. Greatly appreciate it. And then if you've been stuck in your application, okay, you've been stuck at NVC. All right, you added your brother as a household member for sponsorship. That's what it sounds like for your spouse visa, but they require you show proof." Yeah, so I guess you're saying proof, you're asking about proof in the sense that he is your brother. He's your brother. So then you need to provide your I would imagine they already have your birth certificate, but they would need your brother's birth certificate to show the same. In this situation, the easiest way is of course if you have the same mom. It doesn't have to be both parents, of course, to be brothers. All right. But yeah, the other scenario, if you share the same dad, they would need a little bit more evidence. Okay. But hopefully that helps. Okay. I do see now your other comment. So you sent his birth certificate. Okay. It would have been good if I read your comment also. But you kept getting the same response to upload proof of relationship. Yeah, that is annoying. Yeah. So if you're still on, then do you share the same mom or same dad? Maybe that's why. Yeah, I would just go ahead and upload both. I see your next question. I would upload both birth certificate just in case. And I would also, at least for us, we take the extra step, understanding and cognizant that these government immigration officers, I'm not trying to say that they're not competent or anything, but they have a lot of cases, as you can imagine. I think there's roughly like 500,000 cases still backlogged. And so that's just people waiting for the interview. That's not even people before waiting for the interview. Okay. Because in terms of before the documentarily qualified, so there's just a lot of cases. Okay. So please keep that in mind. It can be frustrating. We've been rejected a couple times about like this kind of situation, sponsorship, and we just had to provide a cover letter to explain the situation. And I think that context can help them. All right, so just depending on the situation, maybe you don't need a cover letter, but just a little extra tip there, so you don't get stuck. All right, on IG, let's move over here. Okay, 145, Tanya, what's going on? You have a DACA and can you get advanced parole? Your dad passed away when we were little and you haven't seen his grave. My condolences, Tanya. Typically, from what I've sourced from other colleagues, that they prefer, if there's USCIS prefers to give you a stronger chance if there's some kind of memorial. So of course this happened a long time ago, but like I think memorial is the word we use when like an annual visit, basically. And so if you create like a save the date or something, maybe that could help. All right. But usually advanced parole can take at least 3 months to approve. So if it's February 13th right now, I probably wouldn't put the memorial or whoever you're talking. If you have family abroad as well, I wouldn't pick a date that's next month. Okay, give yourself some time, if possible. If you have the control of that. All right. Sorry if I mispronounced your name, Nindo Karis. Hi, how are you? I have to pay renewal advanced parole when your adjustment status is pending? Fortunately, no. It does not cost extra currently, but when the immigration fees are about to increase in about a couple months, it's going to force people to pay for it separately. So you better get in your renew your 131 as soon as possible. If you have the luxury of time, and now that you've asking this, hopefully it's not expired yet, and you go ahead and do that sooner than later, okay? Because again, it takes at least 3 months. And I'm sorry, folks. Unfortunately, these kind of applications, you would think rubber stamp, but it's not. They have to go through their process, and it takes a long time. Oznu, you're welcome. I'm glad that helped. So see, folks, Oznu, you're a first-time viewer. Welcome. But you can see here that this is just how we roll with the punches here. We share information. I try to be organized in the sense that we talk about the topic first at the start of it, and then answer any questions. If you're just joining now, our legal team, Ting Law Group, we do offer free 15-minute preliminary discussion. See if we can point you in the right direction. But of course, we would be honored if you do need our legal services. We do offer 3 different service plans, levels of service. For the most part, they're mostly depending on how soon you want to file your case. And in terms of lawsuits, it would be how soon we file the lawsuit. So we have Max Plan, which provides basically the max coverage of legal services from start to finish. Pro Plan is just a little bit less services in terms of, if it's an adjustment of status application, for example, it would not include interview representation. So we just try to keep it as easy as possible. So when you have the opportunity to review the quote from us, we have a chart that lists all the different services in the plan. So make it very easy. And you can always upgrade in the sense that, maybe right now you don't think you need a lawyer at the interview because it's like, at least a year from now. And your case, if it's a 485 application, adjustment of status, might be waived. That you don't need an interview. Maybe. I feel like, I could be wrong, but I feel like my law firm had one of the first cases of adjustment of status that were interview was waived, which by the way was in Chicago. And it was great because it was kind of funny in the sense that I thought our client had received the email notification. So I called him up. I was like, hey, great news. Did you know about it? And he was like, no. What are you talking about? And I was like, your interview has been waived. And he was like, I think he was so shocked that he was like, what does this mean? I was like, you're getting your green card without an interview. All right. So, and then of course, after I mentioned this, then I see on TikTok and Instagram, all these people talking about it. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah. The USCIS always has discretion to waive interviews. It typically just depends on the who's president, but I don't want to claim that just because someone is Democrat or there's a Democratic president does not mean an interview will be waived automatically. But typically interview waived when it's employment cases for sure. Okay, 99.9%. But hopefully that helps. Okay, let's see. Let's see. So yeah, let's see. Thanks, champion. Thanks for the claps. All right, I'm just making sure I answered all your questions. All right, folks. Well, we'll be on live again tomorrow. And then also, don't be shy. If you've been watching our channel or you already had a consultation, but you think you may have a couple more questions, it's all good. Give us a call. We're happy to chat with you. It might not be me. I might do some surprise visits for consults, but it'll be one of our premier associate attorneys to assist y'all. But what else to share with you? Yeah, Wednesday I'm going to do a webinar specific to share about the H-1B steps, pros and cons. It could be for college students, people who already graduated, maybe in a master's program. Could be helpful for you, but also specifically for HR. So if you know anyone in HR or recruiter, please, or maybe own their own company, please share information with them, because we're going to go live with that on Wednesday, 10 a.m., I believe, Central Time. All right, folks, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And until next time, please stay.